painting the landscapes where the events of the surrender took place last year. My name is George Frankenstein from Springfield, Ohio. I'm an artist and journalist by trades. Perhaps you're familiar with the name Frankenstein. Have you heard that name before? Well, you probably have because of my brother Godfrey Frankenstein. He is quite renowned as an artist and a painter. And perhaps you saw the rolling panorama of Niagara Falls. I assisted my brother with that painting. It was a canvas 1,000 feet long, 8 feet tall, that was set on 2 spindles on stage, and it would be unrolled to the accompaniment of music and narration. And it depicted Niagara Falls in all of its perspectives, in all of its seasons. It was a quite acclaimed piece of work. We traveled for 5 years exhibiting that painting, went through all the major cities, from New York all the way down to Atlanta, and as far west as Cincinnati. You might have seen it, and you might have heard of it. Well, of course, that was before the war. Once the war broke out, we went on to other ventures. I volunteered my services for the commissary department for the Union cause. I had neither the youth nor the temperament to be a soldier, but the accounts of the battles. As I followed that war, some of you probably felt the same way. It was spellbinding to know what the soldiers went through. Even before the war ended, I took it upon myself to do a task, and that was to visit each and every battlefield. And as an artist, to paint the scenery and the landscape in which those battles took place. I'm going to create a visual encyclopedia. I've been on that task now for about 1.5 years, trying to get to the battlefields before too much time has passed, before there's too many changes, because time has a way of making changes. But to try to get there and paint it as the soldiers themselves would have seen it, with the accuracy and the detail. Of course, that's why I'm here now at Appomattox Courthouse. This was the place where the war ended, where the surrender took place. And I've been out walking through these fields. Today, I was over about 1 mile, maybe 2 miles east of us here, on the other side of the Appomattox River. And there was a farm called Sweeney Farm. And there's an orchard there. And in that orchard was an apple tree where soldiers thought that Generals Lee and Grant had first met. I painted that scene, as well as the ford over the Appomattox River, where the Confederate Army marched, and the stage road leading up behind George Pierce's house, which you could almost see through the village here. That was the last line of march for the Confederate Army as they went to lay down their arms. That's what I was painting today. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to paint Mr. McLean's house here, maybe this view looking out towards the courthouse. General Grant came down the stage road from this direction, from the west, and I thought that might be a good perspective to capture. And I have time, I'm going to try to paint the fields out here to the west also. That's where the soldiers in blue stood firm against the last Confederate assault, forcing them to retreat and then, of course, surrender, which ended the war and saved our nation. But if you've traveled here, if you've come here for that purpose of seeing this landscape, of seeing this village where these events took place, you understand what I'm talking about, because you want to see it firsthand. The events are gone, the people are gone, but the landscape is the tableau for our mind's eye, for us to be able to hear the stories and then recreate the events in our mind as we look across the landscape. That's why I think my paintings are so important, to capture these images, to capture these views. I have still many more battlefields yet to travel. I am going to leave here when I'm finished and travel up to Fredericksburg and paint the scenes around Chancellorsville and Wilderness and Spotsylvania battlefields. And later on, I hope to have an exhibition at Gettysburg, and maybe in time, once I am finished all of these projects, to exhibit all of my paintings throughout the different cities, and maybe make lithographs with an attached monogram of each of the paintings, so that people who cannot travel here can at least see the landscape through my paintings. So that is my purpose. Well, I appreciate you listening to me. I have to excuse myself because I want to retire rather early because I'm going to get up in the morning when the sun is coming and catch the light just the right way. So I bid you all good night and safe travels.
Good night.